The Lakers may have only won one game throughout preseason, which doesn't actually count by the way, not sure many fans realize that, but the much more important thing to evaluate here is the individual and team performance that they showed on the court. No, not when the backups came in during the second half and finished the game for them in the fourth quarter, but when the starting lineup played, the main rotation guys, and much more importantly, the new additions on their team. Talking about Marcus Smart, Deandre Ayton, and Jake LaRavia, but really about both Ayton and Smart, as they'll be playing the larger roles within the rotation. And well, in my opinion, if you ask me about them, I think they played pretty good. Yes, they definitely didn't play that much in regard to Marcus Smart, only playing 2 games and a total of 6 quarters on the court, and for Deandre Ayton, playing much more than him, and I thought he looked pretty well apart from one game. I think overall there's a lot to like about them, and a lot to evaluate that definitely does straight to the positive, much more than the negative. So with that in mind here, we're going to talk about what they showed, why it's so important for the Lakers, and why it may have actually been exactly what they needed. So we're going to talk about that and try to break it all down here. And beginning with Marcus Smart, again only playing 2 games throughout preseason, in which he played roughly 22 minutes per game in, averaging 7 points per game, 1.5 rebounds per game, 1.5 assists per game, 2 steals per game, and shooting 45% from the field and 25% from 3. Again, nothing that's gonna jump off the page at you here, not the 3-point shooting with him, not the points per game, assists per game, maybe the steals per game, and in my opinion that's the most important thing to point to. After all, they brought him in for defense, not offense, or really anything on the offensive end of the court, apart from the occasional 3-point shot and maybe the good pass. They brought him in for defense and to change their team's mentality on defense too. And he definitely did that throughout preseason, albeit in only 2 games. I mean, when Marcus Smart was on the court, they were noticeably better on defense and most importantly, at doing the thing that they were not good at doing on defense last season, getting back on defense. Yes, it might sound simple and might not sound that difficult, but they were terrible at doing it last season, and really for the better part of the past half-decade now too. Last season, they were a bottom 5 team in fast break points per game given up to their opponent, giving up nearly 17 of them per game to their opponents, which was a bottom 5 rating in the entire NBA, heavily contributing to their bottom 15 defensive overall rating, and that's something they definitely need to fix and have been trying to prioritize too, which in the case of Marcus Smart is something that he does very well on the court. Not only himself in protecting the rim and guarding the open court, but simply motivating and really telling his team to get back on defense too, which directly showed up in their final game. Believe it or not, in their final preseason game against Sacramento, the Lakers only gave up 7 fast break points per game. That was the 4th best of any team in their final preseason game, less than half what they normally give up in regard to what they showed last season, and I think it directly reflects what Marcus Smart really benefits their team with, and how he organizes their defense on the court too, which he directly talked about post-game. Not only about getting back on defense, but simply playing defense, motivating their team to play defense, and what the collective 3 of himself, Jared Vanderbilt, and Gabe Vincent bring to their team. So here's what he had to say regarding it.
Marcus, Luka pointed to the physicality being the thing that was lacking the most compared to even what he saw in preseason practices versus on the court in exhibition games. You're known for have that one part of your skill set, right? How does a team take that on and start making that part of their identity?
Just follow my lead, That's really it. I'm gonna try to set the tone each and every night. Just kind of piggyback off me. It's gonna be nights where I don't have it, and that's part of the game. It's 4 other guys out there with you, and so just really picking up what I'm putting down. Me and Vando, we go out there and Gabe, and we try to bring the tone every time. So if they can just follow us, and which they are, we're like I said, we're working on getting used to each other and understanding what each other likes to do and what we can do and what we're willing to do. So once we get that under control, I think you'll see a lot more physicality from the whole team.
Really no other way to put it, Marcus Smart knows what this team brought him in to do, play defense and to literally motivate their team to play defense too. Not only the guys again like himself, Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent, but the guys that don't normally commit to playing defense or maybe are not the best at doing it on a consistent basis. Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, so on and so forth. He's out there to not only help them and cover up for them, but to motivate them to play defense and to get their asses back on defense too. Again, something they're not good at doing last season, neither pre nor post trade deadline. But with the arrival of Marcus Smart, I really guarantee that will change. As long as he stays healthy and as long as he remains a prominent member of their rotation, which is pretty much a guarantee with his health, I think that's going to change their team, and Marcus Smart's going to be a big part of it. Even apart from the transition defense and being a vocal member and leader of their defense, I think he's going to affect another part of it too, that being their defensive playmaking ability, aka causing turnovers, getting steals, deflections, simply wreaking havoc on defense. That's something they're not good at doing last season, and something that Marcus Smart has been good at doing for quite some time now. Last season, for example, the Lakers ranked 22nd in steals per game, averaging under 8 of them per game, and if you then combine that with their poor transition defense and giving up a ton of fast break points per game, they were definitely not set up for success on defense. But now with the addition of Marcus Smart, who not only averaged 2 steals per game last season, but once again throughout preseason, then adding him to a group like Jared Vanderbilt, another guy who averages over 2 steals per 36 minutes, Jake LaRavia, averaging 1.1 steals per game last season, and a few other decent defensive playmakers, I think that will be improving on their team and within their defense, primarily from Marcus Smart and what he offers their team. So with that in mind, I think it's a guarantee that he will be a great addition to their team, not only on defense, but overall in what they weren't good at doing last season. Marcus Smart will directly benefit them and in a definite positive way. But then for Deandre Ayton, I think he also is a guarantee to help them out, really showing it throughout preseason, if he can maintain that mentality and not even anything about stats or numbers here, simply his commitment to playing defense, committed to the role that he wants to fill and the role that they want him to fill. I think it's already been looking pretty good. Now add in Luka Doncic in a more consistent basis with him. They only played 2 games together throughout the preseason and only a total of roughly 4.5 quarters. I think that will be an obvious benefit. I mean, talking about one of the best pick and rollers in the NBA, Deandre Ayton, and one of the best pick and roll ball handlers, and not to mention one of, if not the best lob passer in the NBA, that being Luka Doncic, that's obviously an offensive pairing with a very high ceiling, in which we saw a little bit of throughout preseason. I mean, to no surprise, the connection wasn't perfect between them, the timing was a bit off, there was simply some rust with Luka Doncic trying to work his way back, and then trying to find that perfect timing and perfect connection between them. It's not going to be immediate. Yes, there were a few missed connections on the lob passes between them, in which a few fans were freaking out about, and I think that's kind of laughable from one preseason game together. But I think over time it's going to get a lot better. In fact, I can pretty much guarantee it. Again, one of the best pick and roll lob threats and best pick and roll rollers, with one of the best pick and roll ball handlers, is a pretty much guarantee to work eventually, and I imagine that will be sooner rather than later for them. I mean, talking about Deandre Ayton last season in the pick and roll game, doing a pick and roll roughly 28% of the time, and scoring 4.5 points per game off of it, 1.13 points per possession, finishing at a 58.2% clip within the pick and roll game, meaning when he takes a shot out getting the ball from the pick and roll, that's obviously very efficient, very effective, and was one of the top 7 players within the pick and roll game last season. All around was very good, and that was with an F-graded playmaking talent around him. Yes, the Portland Trail Blazers were one of, if not the worst playmaking team last season. So now again pairing with Luka Doncic, a guy that himself ran the pick and roll play roughly 37% of the time last season, scoring for himself 10 points per game off pick and roll plays, drawing a foul roughly 16% of the time, only turning it over at an 11% rate within the pick and roll game, running over 10 pick and roll plays per game with the ball in his hands. I think that's obviously going to lead to some really good offensive pairing between them, some great passes between them, some great lob connections, and all around a lot of versatility within their offense too, which is kind of weird to say regarding a pick and roll. A pretty basic set that, usually not much happens, but between the two of them, a lot can definitely happen. Whether you're talking about Deandre Ayton getting the pass, not even for a lob, but from the mid-range and pulling up with it, kind of adding some in-between game floor spacing from the free throw line extended, or obviously a lob pass that can happen, or a dump off around the rim. Ayton even has a nice floater. If he's within that 5 to 8 feet away from the rim kind of range, he can do that as well. So plenty of options when Ayton gets the ball, or if Luka Doncic has the ball, then obviously plenty more that he can do. Whether it be a step back 3-point shot, if the help defender doesn't come up or hedge on the screen to help out, obviously he can drive to the rim, get to the rim and finish at the rim in a multitude of ways, pull up from the mid-range, or whatever it might be. There are definitely many different ways that they can run a pick and roll, different ways that they can score, pass, and simply operate within their offense within a pick and roll. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching it and evolve between the two of them. And well, Deandre Ayton definitely is too, as he had this to say after he played with Luka Doncic.
Deandre, just a first chance in a game playing with Luka. We've been talking about it for a little bit. I know you've had some practices like that. What did you see, not just screen roll action, but kind of the whole thing overall for the two of you?
How our pick and roll is getting our shooters open in the corners. How much more attention Luka draws, just being on the floor with us, and the different schemes teams throw at us when he's on the floor. I say him being communicative as well, telling us what he wants and what he sees out there, and just really, picking up the pace on the offensive end as well, and giving people different good looks. A few times he was just throwing the ball up, kicking heads, whether or not he was getting turnovers, but it was just a good chance to really see how fast he starts the offense.
Like I said, he definitely appears eager and ready to play more with Luka Doncic. The opportunities that Luka will present him, and not to mention a contract year for Deandre Ayton, he's obviously looking forward to it, and that should directly benefit their team. Though not only offensively but defensively too. Not only playing with Luka Doncic, but covering up for the rest of their team, becoming their defensive anchor, something that Ayton himself has even talked about and wanting to become for their team. Ayton looked pretty good on defense throughout preseason, and no, I'm not joking about that. Whether you're talking about the numbers with him, averaging roughly 2 blocks per game throughout preseason, and only roughly 24 minutes per game, that would be a career high for him at the NBA level, so if he can replicate that and transfer that to the regular season, then it's obviously going to be a big part of their defense and a big benefit to it too. Or simply talking about the eye test and his commitment on defense definitely is even better for him throughout preseason. Whether you're talking about moving his feet and switching on defense, even being vocal and communicating on defense, it looked pretty good for Deandre Ayton. No, they weren't a great defensive team throughout preseason, in which you really can't rate that well and evaluate with many guys not playing, but for Deandre Ayton specifically, I thought he looked great. And again, if he can replicate that and maintain that throughout a 82-game regular season, or for a large majority of it, I think that'll do wonders for himself, his image, and obviously for their entire team too. So between the both of Deandre Ayton and Marcus Smart, I thought there were a lot of good positives with them throughout preseason, directly with what the Lakers needed on their team. Again, talking about transition defense, defensive playmaking, defense and rim protection with Deandre Ayton, not to mention his rebounding ability, which I didn't talk about that much but was very good for him throughout preseason, averaging 9 rebounds per game and only 24 minutes per game, nearly 2.5 offensive rebounds per game, another thing they're not good at doing last season. So between both of Ayton and Smart, they directly prove they can address a number of the Lakers' biggest needs from last season, which you really can't argue against if you watch him play. So with that in mind here, what do you guys think? How do you feel about both Deandre Ayton and Marcus Smart showed throughout preseason, and how that will apply to the Lakers team throughout the regular season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one, and if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.